Iran is waging a war on two fronts. The military has stepped up its offensive on Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah, an ally of Iran. And a series of airstrikes on Beirut has killed at least 6 people, wounding dozens more. Israeli forces and the US have also continued to bombard Iran. In the coming hours, funerals will be held there for 2 senior security officials killed in Israeli strikes on Tuesday. Iran has responded to the killing of Ali Larijani and Gholamreza Soleimani by launching a wave of attacks against Israel. At least 2 people have been killed in Tel Aviv. Strikes have continued across the Gulf. Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have all reported intercepting drones and missiles. Zeidon Alkinani is a Middle East politics lecturer at Georgetown University in Qatar. He's with me now in the studio. I mean, there's so much to discuss. It's difficult to know where to start. Let's begin with the targeted killing of senior Iranian officials. If Israel is eliminating figures who might plausibly negotiate an end to this conflict, does that suggest that diplomacy is no longer part of the strategy here, or was diplomacy never part of it in the first place?
Oh, certainly diplomacy was never part of it from the first place, given that the strikes from the first day and the assassination of the supreme leader happened during the presumed talks, which most of the regional actors witnessed that it was signified in a way that would be progress and a sign of a good progress between both sides, whether US and Israel and Iran. So diplomacy is definitely being eliminated from the picture, which is why the Gulf states is finding this as one of the most challenging times in their contemporary history, given that they heavily relied on advocating for diplomacy to be at the forefront of any crises or potential crises to erupt between Iran and the United States, given that, as we see, the consequences of being the middle region between such a conflict erupting.
It begs the question, though, how aligned Washington and Israel are strategically at this stage. Are they pursuing the same strategic objective here?
They're certainly pursuing very different strategic objectives. We have to also ensure that the U.S. strategy here is very narrowed down and limited to Trump's strategy, and we're witnessing that there is a lot of U.S. political divisions when it comes to this war, not just from the Democratic aspect, but also from the Republicans aspect. Many are questioning the legitimacy of the war and the preparedness of the war, noticing that it is purely an Israeli strategy, an Israel-oriented interest for having this war from the first place. The U.S. has lost major trust from its regional allies economically and politically. It seems like the U.S. is interested in a minor regime change, which was very evident from the rhetoric presented by President Trump as he was proposing some form of negotiations or acceptance in naming other people and rejecting other people, such as Khamenei. In Israel's case, it is very evident that they're much more interested in dismantling, creating a state destruction within the Islamic Republic, and also ensuring that such a destruction would also translate into a regional chaos.
With Israel now fighting on several fronts, not only is it targeting Iran, but Hezbollah in southern Lebanon are now expanding strikes into Beirut with mass displacement and high civilian casualties. I mean, can Israel do all of this all at once?
Well, since October 7, 2023, we've noticed that Israel has been rationalizing that political development into justifying its existential threat across the region by presenting an existential threat directly to different regional fronts. It does come as a surprise that after Israel pushing the U.S. into this war with Iran, that it decided to further enhance its already existing front with Hezbollah in Lebanon, but it also further indicates and reassures the idea and the notion that Israel is taking an advantage of the escalation of this regional war for its own expansionist agendas.
But does the scale of the displacement that we're seeing currently in Lebanon risk opening a second major front that could reshape the war and stretch Israel too far?
Absolutely, indeed. However, we have to also keep in mind that Hezbollah is also struggling struggling with having a similar domestic support, nationally and socially speaking, against the Israeli aggression as it used to have in 2006. Hezbollah has also lost a strong regional social empathy since its involvement in the Syrian civil war, and it certainly has lost a strong political consensus about its future with the new Lebanese political elite, which makes it much harder to convince public opinion and political elites in Lebanon about the rationale of its war in Lebanon. However, if Israel continues the level of its military aggression against Lebanon, similarly to what it did in Iran, it may indicate some form of social empathy towards whomever is fighting Israel across the border as a response to the humanitarian crisis that is happening in both countries.
Good to talk to you, Zeidon. Many thanks indeed for your insight.